Let me show you how to create some awesome shots with just using one light. So the key of doing that, of course, is creating soft light and big light. So what we learned before is use a large light source, the largest that you can get, and put it as close as possible to the subject, and you're gonna get some beautiful soft light. So let's go ahead and let me show you right now and take some photos and show you what one light can do. Okay, so I got my light. It's very close to my subject, so you always want the nose towards the light, and that's key. And what that does is creates a shadow. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my lighting. My lighting is I want to create a shadow. Now, why are shadows important? Shadows are important because it creates dimension on the face. If you don't have any shadows, you can't see the shape of your subject. And so that also has a slimming effect on your subject too by using the shadows. So that's why it's great to use a constant light when you're learning light, because you can actually reposition this light to create different shadows. So now what I'm going to do is use this edge of the light, and I'm going to increase the intensity of the shadow for a little bit different look. But since the nose is always to the light, you're going to be okay. All right, and so this is more of a Rembrandt look, where Rembrandt is you get this little triangle of highlight, and then you have shadow, and this nose actually creates another shadow this way. So if I move the light a little bit by there, you can start to see that triangle right on the cheek, and that's called Rembrandt lighting. I can do a bunch of different things with one light, right? And I can also create a side light shot. So let's turn her completely sideways, and I can do more of a profile shot, right? And what I like doing, again, is I can light her like this, and it's a great exposure, but what creates the drama is I need that shadow. I'm looking for that shadow, okay? And so if you can maybe pull your arm back a little bit, and then maybe do something like leaning forward. Yeah, that's beautiful right there. And so now you can see the highlight and shadow on her hand and highlight on shadow on her face. And you're just using that same principle, nose to the light, and you're going to get some amazing shots this way. And look down or look straight into that forward. Beautiful. You never want to strain the eyes too. And that way the portrait's going to look a lot natural, but the key thing is the highlight and shadow, which makes amazing shots. Okay, so that's side lighting. Let's do something, with your hands down. That's good. Great. And turn your face a little bit more this way. I'm going to do completely profile. And how about if you kind of lean back a little bit? Break that spine a bit. Perfect. And use the other hand. Perfect. So that's not in front of the camera, because sometimes if you get the hands too close to the camera, they'll look larger than they actually are. And that has a great dramatic look. Now let's change the lighting a little bit, and let's try to get that lighting in front. And what I do when I do front lighting is I'm also looking for shadows, but I'm looking for shadows on the cheekbone. And so therefore I put that light high enough so I can see two shadows right here on that cheek to find that. And so what you might want to do, you want to make sure you still have the catch light in the eyes. So you have to move the light back far enough so you get the catch light, but high enough to get the shadows. And so you kind of have to mess with it a little bit. Now, I'm fortunate that my beautiful model Charlene is not taller than me. If she was taller than me, I'd be shooting up, and I don't like to get nostril shots. So you have to be careful of that. If your model is taller than you, you might want to get a chair so they can sit down so you can shoot down when you're doing the shot. But in this case, because I'm a little bit taller than Charlene, I can still shoot down and get those beautiful shadows on the, oh my gosh, she looks gorgeous right here. So, that's the key thing when using light in the front, is to get that light so you can see the shadows. So to me, lighting is not about exposing your subject per se, but lighting for me is about creating shadows so I can get the depth on the subject. So the 3 different lighting positions you can use with one light. One is the Rembrandt style, where you can get a shadow on the short side, which is the closest to the camera, right? Creating a shadow right on the cheek. 2, you can use side light, also nose towards the light, so you can also get a highlight and shadow. And 3, you can use the lighting from on top of the subject, but you still get a shadow right here on the cheeks to define the shape of the face. When you want to use one light, use the largest light source possible, get it close to your subject, and use those 3 different positions to create some amazing images.